So, for this episode, I wanted to start off with a genuine thank you.
Oh, great.
What? It's nice and kind of me to do this because I wanted to thank you for not making us 2 hours late for this version of It. So, It Chapter 2.
Great. Thank you. You're going to air all of our dirty laundry for the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, they want to know. So, this week's movie is It Chapter 2. I'm Shay.
I'm Tyler.
And this is Cinematically Correct. I'm very happy about this if you can't tell. So, It Chapter 1 was one of our first dates.
Yes.
It was in a weird time in our life, but we went to go see it at the drive-in theater.
Yes.
Yes. And the first time we went to go see it at the drive-in theater, we didn't make it. Do you want to tell everybody why we didn't make it?
I was a little bit late.
A little bit late. Okay, so he was 2 hours late. And when he arrived at my house to pick me up, he said, I didn't know we had to be on time. Because apparently drive-in movies don't have a set time. I'm not really sure what the reasoning was, really. You got caught up in talking, and you just kind of forgot. I get it. It's totally understandable. But then we made it. I think it was the next week.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm terrified of clowns. So I will admit I am terrified of clowns. I was actually horrified to even go to this movie. I haven't watched a movie with a clown in it since I was like 15 at this point.
We watched It and then Chapter 2.
No. I mean before It Chapter 1. I hadn't watched one since about when I was like 15 or something.
Clowns are creepy as hell.
Yeah, terrified. But you made the experience so much better during It Chapter 1 because we were at a drive-in theater and almost every moment of a person so much as walking by our car, you jumped and sometimes made audible noises. I would say scream, but I don't want to make you sound like, like a little girl or anything. But that made it much calmer.
It was not that bad. You're exaggerating. What happened is because we took my car, all of the rear view mirrors were set to my eye level because you're considerably shorter than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're watching the movie, and then every so often I'd catch the glimpse of a dark shadow walking by the car.
Yeah, I mean, those shadows, they really get you. Coming for you. Anyway, I'm just saying that you made that experience so much calmer.
We're going to watch a movie at the drive-in that's a horror movie, and you have to watch the rearview mirrors from now on.
Yeah, I don't think you have rearview mirrors that are that low to hit my eye level, but, do you. Try. Go for it.
I mean, you have driven a car before.
Yeah, but I don't ever have to worry about, seeing it just, looking. I have to look up. So we decided to do It Chapter 2 to rekindle the beginning of our relationship. It was a really happy, momentous time in our life.
She's never going to let me forget this.
Nope.
Live it down.
Nope. So I wanted to make sure it was recorded in podcast. So it is. So now we can move into the actual movie.
Brief synopsis?
No, we have to talk about the trailers first.
Oh, right. We do have to talk about the trailers. First one, Gretel and Hansel.
Was it Gretel and Hansel or Hansel and Gretel?
It was Gretel and Hansel. I wrote that down because it threw me.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I wrote Gretel and Hansel too. So a Grimm fairy tale.
Yep. So
it looked pretty good.
Looked okay.
Pretty dark.
Yeah, it looked dark.
There's been a recent Hansel and Gretel not too long ago though, wasn't there? I didn't see it.
No, it was terrible.
Oh, you saw it.
Actually terrible.
Okay, so maybe this one will be better.
Then All Rise, which is a TV show.
Yes, that a friend of mine has actually seen recently. So very weird, but yeah, it looks pretty good. I love legal shows, so I'm down.
Then Just Mercy, which is a movie about a lawyer trying to get people off of death row.
Yes, it looked intense.
It definitely looks intense. It reminds me a bit of Brian Banks in that regard, where it's trying to get people either life in prison or out of prison.
Yeah, it looked very serious, so.
Then Black Christmas.
Yeah, see, that reminded me of Krampus a little bit, and I'm also not really down for sorority movies. That's just not my thing.
Well, it's almost like that movie where the sorority girl dies over and over again, almost. I think it's made by the same company, too.
Was it Happy Death Day or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I'm just not down for sorority things.
It looked just boilerplate horror movie kind of.
Yeah. Not a choice I'm thinking of anytime soon.
And then Tenet, which I don't understand.
Yeah, I literally wrote, yup, no idea what that's about.
It's a Christopher Nolan movie. The trailer does not actually make any sense at the moment. It's a guy dressed in a suit looking through bullet holes, and there's a bunch of other things that happen, but none of it is connected, or there's no kind of explanation as to what is happening in the movie.
But that doesn't mean it will be bad. We just don't know what it's about yet.
Well, it's Christopher Nolan. I expect it to be good.
Right.
I just don't know what it is.
And then the last one was Birds of Prey, which
Yes.
was Harley Quinn's like standalone movie, it looked like.
Right.
Which actually looked better than Suicide Squad. Granted, I'm biased because
Is
I
it-
like Margot Robbie and I like Harley Quinn as a character.
Yes, but is that a high bar?
No. It's not a high bar. I was actually really disappointed that Suicide Squad was as bad as it was, considering I like Margot Robbie and I like Harley Quinn.
Right.
So, but here we are. Anyway, so now we can go to the main event. Brief synopsis.
Brief synopsis.
Go ahead, I can't wait.
Brief synopsis.
The movie's about a group of friends that have lost touch, that come back to their small town of Derry, Maine.
27 years later.
27 years later to fight a monstrous child-eating clown that turns out to be an alien.
Kind of, yeah, although the alien thing isn't really mentioned in the film, but okay, you can add in your own touches. Sure.
Well, he comes from outer space in the...
I mean, I guess.
But
do your thing.
that's the brief synopsis.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
So, do we want to chat about the characters for a bit?
Sure.
So, before we talk about who's in it, I did want to mention, because I think it's really cool, that for It Chapter 1, after it was done, the child actors were asked who they wanted to play them.
Yes.
And some of them came to fruition. Not all of them, but some of them did. And I did want to mention who the kids wanted. So, it was, for Richie, the child actor wanted Bill Hader. So, that happened. For Bev, the child actor wanted Jessica Chastain.
Also happened.
Yep. For Mike, they wanted Chadwick Boseman, but he was previously occupied with
Black Panther, Marvel.
Yep. For Eddie, they wanted Jake Gyllenhaal. For Stanley, they wanted Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And for Ben, they wanted Chris Pratt. And for Bill, they wanted Christian Bale.
I mean, that's a fairly star-studded cast. The rest of the actors after Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, Bill Hader are, in my estimation, fairly less well known. I'd never seen the majority of the actors in anything.
Right. But I mean, I think they did a great job casting. So
I do.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go in the order of the IMDb, so not in order of my of them, because I would change the order a bit. Just saying. Put that out there. So the first one is Jessica Chastain, who plays Beverly Marsh.
Yes.
So she was picked by the child actor, and I think she did a really good job. I don't know how many movies I've seen her in, but I definitely know I've seen her in the past.
Yeah, she's been in quite a few movies that I've seen. I can't think of any offhand.
Molly's Game is one I've wanted to see but never seen. She was in Interstellar. She was in Spheres, The Zookeeper, Miss Sloane, Crimson Peak, The Martian, which I did see, Miss Julie. So not a lot that I've seen. Mama. Anyway, not a lot that I've seen, but
Zero Dark 30s.
The Help. That's what I know her from. The Help. But anyway, she was really good. I don't want to talk too much about the plot, but I did have some moral issues with her character. Although I understand reasonings, I still had issues.
I mean, she didn't have a happy relationship with her husband.
No, she did not.
But she went out of her way to kiss every one of her childhood friends, basically.
Okay, I was not trying to get into plot, but okay.
But she just moved on and kissed every one of them, basically. Not everyone, but two of them.
Way to
one
exaggerate.
of them happily married, or presumably happily married.
Way to exaggerate. Anyways, moving on. Speaking of one of the ones she kissed, James McAvoy. I can't help it, but man, all I'm saying is if you haven't seen this movie yet and you don't know what James McAvoy looks like in this movie and you are a female, get on that. Just even if you don't want to watch the movie, just look up clips of him in this movie. What? I can't help it. I literally wrote down somewhere in my notes, damn, James McAvoy looks good in this movie. Just saying. And this is not our first James McAvoy movie, and I did not say that before, so I'm just saying something. He plays Bill Denbrough. He, in the movie, is like a screenwriter. His wife is...
He's a writer and screenwriter. It's weird where he writes books, but then also writes movies.
Oh, yeah, it's so weird. Like Stephen King or something like that.
Oh, it's so random.
So weird. I mean, so weird. His wife is an actress, and from what I read in the book, she was also a writer who he was making her book into a film. But in this, she's just a writer, or she's just an actress, from what it seemed like.
Yeah.
I thought he did really well, too.
I mean, I had no problems with any of the actors in this movie. I mean, for a horror movie, the acting was fairly consistently high and decently done.
Yeah. This one surprised me, though. So the next one, the person who plays Richie is Bill Hader.
Right.
This is his first horror movie, which that was not surprising. I was very aware of that. But he was incredible.
He killed it in this movie.
Yeah. I was shocked at how well he did. I thought he was going to be... Well, he was the comic relief, but I thought he was going to be so much the comic relief that it was kind of like in
Drags
his
down
parts
the
you
whole
would...
movie.
Yeah, you'd kind of almost be taken out of the horror element. But that was not the case.
No.
He was incredible. I can't even say enough about how incredible he was.
I think my favorite acting performance from the movie.
Probably, yeah. So Isaiah Mustafa plays Mike Hanlon. I've seen his face before, but I don't actually know who he is. So if you would like to tell me. I'm looking at his IMDb real quick. I see Shadowhunter, Horrible Bosses, The Clinic.
I've seen Nikita.
Nikita. Okay, so...
Which is a TV show.
Baby Daddy I've seen, so maybe I have seen him. I don't know. Which is a TV show. It was like almost like a Disney TV show, but not Disney. But yeah, so I mean, he was good, but he was actually relatively small part.
I mean, he has the worst job in this entire movie, which is to call all of his friends back to honor their pledge to kill the monster. No, thank you.
Right. Okay, so there's only a few more. Jay Ryan plays Ben Hascom. I know I've never seen him before in my life. Have you?
No, I don't think so.
No. I have to say, he was supposed to be like the hot one, but they put James McAvoy, so I think they killed that. But he did have a glow up, but he wasn't the hot one. I know he was supposed to be the hot one. He wasn't. Sorry. James Ranson, another one I've never seen before, played Eddie Kasprak. Sorry. He was in Sinister, Generation Kill, Captive State, Dead Wax, Camp Confessions, The First, Tough Love. I mean, these all look like relatively smaller movies.
I'm fairly confident I've seen him in something. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to scroll back for the rest of my life, but I don't recognize him at all. So, anyway, he's somebody that we could always look up for a future movie. And then two more. Andy Bean played Stanley. Very, very small role, but...
Yeah, spoilers, he's not in the movie. If you read the book, you know why.
Well, he's in the movie just for a very short amount
for like
of time.
2 seconds.
Yeah. He's from Here and Now, Power, Poor Boy, Swamp Thing, Leaving Hope, Here and Now. Nothing I've seen. There's Transformers. I've seen Transformers, but I'm assuming he was a smaller role because I don't remember. But yeah, nothing I've seen. And then Bill Skarsgård played Pennywise. Pennywise was only on screen for 10 minutes in this movie, but
yeah.
I mean, Pennywise,
he's a very good Pennywise, not to take away from
Tim Curry. You can't take away from Tim Curry.
Right.
He is Tim Curry.
But he does a commendable job as a second Pennywise.
Yeah, he's a good second place. I am never going to dethrone Tim Curry as the Pennywise. I'm just not doing it. But he's a very good second place. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I did want to switch around the order a little bit and do Audience Ask.
Audience asks.
Because one of our top questions was for the first part of the movie.
Okay.
So multiple people asked, I'll name a few of them, the Contrarians, as well as Better Than Robin Hood podcast. They said, I'm paraphrasing because there's two different people here, but the opening scene might be in the book, but didn't you feel it was completely disconnected from the rest of the movie?
It was, and I feel like they missed an opportunity there to tie it back in. But it is in the original book, and it's a based off a real life event that traumatized Stephen King.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about what the real life event was, or are you just going to mention that it's about a real life event and then walk away from it?
So it was an instance out of Bangor, Maine, where a gentleman, Charlie Howard,
who was 23,
was murdered because he was gay.
Mm-hmm. By 3 teenage boys in 1984.
Yes. So
you're welcome.
He was beaten up by these teenagers and then thrown off a bridge into a river or stream after telling them he couldn't swim, and then he unfortunately drowned.
Yes.
And it led to a lot of positive things afterwards, where the communities of Maine and the state of Maine started programs to make this never happen again.
Yes.
But it deeply impacted Stephen King, who's from Maine, and he wrote about it and included it in the story.
Yeah. No, I will say that one of the reasons that I think it led to the things it led to later on and why it impacted so many people in Bangor was because one of the teenagers mentioned to the police officer that he just wanted to beat up a faggot was the reason they did it.
Yeah.
And they were released before they were 21. So, I mean, they were teenagers, probably 16 or 17. That's not a lot of time.
As a teenager, I knew that murder was bad.
Right. So that wasn't a lot of time. And I think that really resonated with a lot of people, just how horrific that was and how light of a sentence they received.
I mean, honestly, I'd still be okay with them being in prison now.
Yeah. It was awful. So, but to answer their question, did I think it was disconnected from the rest of the movie? I did understand why it was there because it was part of the source material, but I personally felt there was a lot of places where they could have connected it back, and I wish that they did, but I was constantly looking for it throughout the movie. I was like, oh, this is where it's going to be. Oh, that's where it's going to be, and then it just never happened.
Right. There were several instances in the movie where you could have brought it full circle and had it make sense that scene was included in the movie.
Right.
And it did just leave things kind of unfinished and just kind of disjointed for that scene.
Agreed. So, I mean, I will say, because I thought you were just going to steal all of my ideas, but you stopped, so I'm going to, finish them out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, no, not at all. So, some of the places I think they could have brought this around. When I first saw the beginning scene, I thought that the boyfriend that survived, was going to come back around either as somebody who kind of like is hunting Pennywise and, does that final blow to kill him when the losers are in a bad spot or something. Or they mentioned that he grew up in Derry. So I thought maybe he knew one of the people and that he was going to kind of connect back that way because he knew them because he grew up there. And it looked like he was around maybe the same age or maybe a little younger. I'm not really sure. Or the whole Richie subplot where they were talking about, they were hinting at that he was probably gay. They didn't quite come out and say it. We'll talk about that later. But there was a scene where he was kind of getting harassed in an arcade, and Meg Ryan poster was in the background. And if you remember in the first scene, the insult that they used was, "Oh, you've got a Meg Ryan haircut." So I thought maybe that was like a connection, like letting us know like this is where he's gonna come back in, like this is the moment. But it didn't happen. It just kind of left me like, wait, why? It would have been perfect. Yeah. But here we are. Anyway, just wanted to put that out there because that felt to me as a big missed opportunity.
I agree with you on that one.
So although that was technically 2 people, I still wanted to do 2 actual questions for Audience Ask. So the other one that I wanted to do was from one of your favorite people in the world, Mr. Positivity Wolfie. Were the flashbacks actual flashbacks or false memories caused by Pennywise? Also, if it preys on each person's greatest fear, what form would it take to scare you?
So I think they were legitimate memories that were distorted. So they started off as normal flashback memories, and then he came in as part of the nightmare to make them worse. Mm-hmm. But they were actual things that happened to them in their childhood. That's where the fear and the deep-seated insecurities are coming from, and Pennywise preys on that insecurity.
No, I agree with that. I assumed that it was basically a horrible rendition of a memory is basically what it was.
Right. So it's the memory of what happened, and then it goes to a nightmare. It's like you start off a normal day in school when you're dreaming, and then you wind up in class giving a presentation in your underwear. Like it turns into a nightmare somewhere along the way, and you can't really pick out where you went wrong.
Makes sense. So, and then the last part of his question was also, if it preys on each person's greatest fear, what form would it take to scare you? For me, they got it down. Like that's it. That's all I needed. I'm terrified. Okay, we good.
Well, so I have a couple things that I very much do not like that you all know that we really haven't talked about on the podcast because there's no course or reason to. I don't like heights or the sensation of falling, which is why I don't like roller coasters. Mm-hmm. I don't like confined spaces, as you all know, on our trip to the caves. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so those would be
I don't know how you would take on those forms, though.
The being buried alive.
That's
was
true.
Horrible.
Yeah, that's just horrifying. Yeah.
No, there's a lot of that I no.
Just no. Okay. So, anyways, that's that for Audience Asks.
Now that we've done Audience Asks, let's get back to talking about the reactions of getting the news of having to come back to Derry. Mike has the worst job of any job that I could imagine, calling all of his friends.
Yeah, and letting them know they have to come back.
And they seem to handle it fairly well. I mean, Richie throws up, understandable. Eddie crashes his car, also understandable. His wife is a bit of a nutcase.
Yeah, she's a bit much. You thought I was bad, but whoa.
Yeah, she does remind me a little bit of you.
Oh, yeah, because I'm going to tell you not to drive on a dry road when it was raining, like, hours ago. No, I don't think so. But, I mean, I think they handled it pretty well because they mentioned that Pennywise did something that made them forget. So they're thinking it's just an old pal asking them to hang out. Like, they have that sense of doom, but they don't know why.
Right.
So, I mean, I would say that's why. But, I mean, can we talk about, like, how successful they are?
They all made some serious money.
They all made some seriously good choices in their life. Like,
yeah, after being traumatized, they managed to pull things together collectively and all be successful.
Yeah, was this like part of like if you escaped Pennywise, like you like achieved
riches beyond your wildest dreams, whether you're a millionaire architect, famous comedian, risk analyst for an insurance company, they make some serious money. Movie writer, producer.
Right. I mean, is this like a Saw situation where like if you escape the game, then like you have a better appreciation for life, and then like you're gonna live like to the fullest or something? Like what's
like a reverse monkey's paw, where if you get through everything, good things happen rather than bad things.
Yeah, it was just insane. I literally wrote down, "Wow, the Derry kids are rich." Like what?
Well, there's the one bad guy that's not Pennywise in this movie is in a psych ward, and I wrote down, "Oh, finally a realistic future for one of the people involved in this nightmare."
Yeah.
I mean, that's what would happen to all of them. They would have been institutionalized and in a padded cell somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's 100% understandable that is what happens.
Absolutely. The question I wanted to ask you would be if you knew that your life would turn out like one of theirs, all you had to do was fight Pennywise and win. Would you do it?
As long as I'm not Eddie.
No, but I mean as the children, so they all survived.
Except Eddie. Spoilers.
Eddie died as an adult. I'm talking about as a child.
Oh, I'd totally do it. Totally do it.
Okay. And would you do it knowing that you may have to confront him again in 27 years?
Yeah.
Yeah? It's worth it? It's worth the riches?
Yeah.
I was curious what you would say, because I don't think I would, just because I'm a chicken shit. I'm not even going to lie. But there is a lure there.
With great risk comes great reward, darling.
I suppose.
Hand in hand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, before we get a little bit off track on other things, I did want to talk about Pennywise killing the two children in this movie.
Okay.
Which, the first one, you can go straight to hell for making fun of that little girl's port wine stand on her face. Mm-hmm. That is the stupidest, shittiest thing that you can do as a monster, and you needed to die.
But also, what mother lets their child wander off and then not even go look for her?
I wrote down, horrible parent.
Yeah,
horrible mother.
I expected the mother to come running down like within a few seconds of her walking away, but no, she was able to carry on a full conversation. So
I mean, I have no explanation other than she's not worried about her being abducted and or murdered by a non-clown horrible person.
Okay, well, I'd be worried about it, but I'm also super cautious of life, so there's that.
And then just the little boy that survived the drain only to be murdered in the funhouse.
No, so I had a question about that one. Do you think that was he actually got killed, or do you think that was Pennywise making, what's his name, Bill, think that he got killed?
So I'm thinking he was actually killed as a torment to Bill, because it reminded him of Georgie and being powerless to stop.
Okay. I was just wondering if Pennywise was altering reality to make him think that, because the funhouse and the mirrors and whatever, like, you know, smoke and mirrors kind of...
No, I think he actually, the little child died horribly, and it's a parallel to the Georgie plotline from the original, where he was a child and he couldn't help his brother. Now he's an adult and he can't help a different child.
Makes sense.
So,
since we're talking about Georgie, I'm just going to mention really fast that there's a road trip I need to take. The sewer drain where Georgie met his doom was inspired by a sewer drain in Bangor. For years, this particular sewer drain on the corner of Jackson and Union has been one of the main tourist spots in Bangor. So
that's not that far.
I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to do a road trip and you know, I just kind of was interested in checking it out. Okay?
Long weekend?
Down for that. Yeah. Just want to throw that out there since we were talking about Georgie.
We also have a terrifying drain near our house that looks very much like that drain.
We, in fact, do. I thought about, you know, doing something to scare you with that, but I haven't come up with a good enough thing yet. So
Red balloon.
yeah, that says I love dairy on it. So yeah, we'll see. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up before we move
I
on.
want to say that this movie also did a very good job on the jump scares. Because even when you knew they were coming, like you fully saw that it was going to be a jump scare, they still did a good job. They cranked up the volume. They did a very good job there.
So speaking of jump scares, I wanted to talk about the scene that's in the trailer that I'm pretty sure almost everybody has seen at this point. So in the trailer, they show, I think, Jessica Chastain or Beverly sitting in the house talking to an old lady. And then in the trailer, they show the old lady becoming a monster.
Right. Pennywise's daughter.
I don't think you learn that in the trailer. But in the movie, we learn that it's Pennywise's daughter. I don't know if we learn it in the trailer. I don't remember, honestly.
Well, she sees the picture and she freaks out in the trailer. And then you see something in the background, but they don't show the whole scene.
Yeah. So in the movie, we knew watching the movie that she was going to come out and be a monster because we all saw the trailer.
Right.
But they ratcheted up the noise. The way it was filmed, like the way it was shown, the way she moved, like everything.
Very fast, erratic, and just unexpected.
Right. It was like, I mean, terrifying. And also, did she need to have those boobs hanging like that?
I wrote down in my notes, why did she need to be naked in that? Why?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it's like a
shock value,
and also like to allude to the fact that she's not human and all of that. They also in the same scene show Pennywise without his makeup.
Yeah,
which was kind of unnerving. I'm not gonna lie.
Creepier than with the makeup almost.
Yeah, it was kind of like I kept looking at him like, wait, that's Skarsgård, but it's Pennywise, but it's not Pennywise. It kind of unnerved me. It was like a little bit of a whoa moment.
Perfected that creepy smile.
Yeah.
So he's not really Bill Skarsgård. He's Pennywise with that really horrible smile.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that to me was one of the scenes where I was just like, holy crap on the jump scares. Like, I knew all of it was coming, and yet I still jumped. So,
yeah.
Terrifying. But other than that, for jump scares, there were a few here and there with him popping out of places and...
The zombie red balloon scene where he pulls the balloon out from underneath his bed in the psychiatric hospital and the zombie comes out.
That's true. But all of them you knew it was coming, but the way the sound effects happened, it still like kind of jolted my system a little bit. Like, oh, all right, here we are. I did want to... do you have something you wanted to mention right now?
No, I'm getting out of notes.
Okay, so I did want to mention just an issue I had. Can I do it? So... Bev, I love her. I do. I had a problem with her in the book, in the movie, in the first movie, all of these things.
See, I've not read the book.
Oh, I read the book when I was way too young to have read the book, so it's kind of ingrained in my memory as a horrible experience. But anyways, she is somebody who has an abusive father and then ends up marrying basically her father.
Right. Abusive husband.
Right.
Terrible decision.
Right. And it's horrible and it's awful. However, she then decides to go and cheat, not only with one person, but then with another person.
Who's been creepily in love with her since they were children.
Right. The movie has her first kiss the wrong guy because she had the wrong memory or whatever.
Because they lost their memories and she's trying to piece it together and she just...
Right. So she kisses Bill, which is James McAvoy. You know, congrats to you, girl, because I want to do it. But regardless...
I'm here.
I'm letting you know. I'm keeping it 100. Anyway, the point of that was when she does kiss Ben, which is the one she's supposed to end up with, they're underwater. Like, and it's not like immediately underwater. They've been underwater for quite a while. They probably need air, but she decides to kiss him.
And James McAvoy's character is presumably happily married.
Yes, that is also the case. So I just feel like infidelity was treated real lightly in this movie.
And she just goes off with Ben's character at the end.
Yeah.
Like, she's still theoretically married. They'd never resolved that arc at all.
Right. Now, I believe in the book they do resolve that arc. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but I do know that both Bill's wife, Audra, and Beverly's husband, which I, for the life of me, can't remember his name because he's really not memorable, do follow them to Derry. The husband because of jealousy, and the wife, I don't know why. I don't know if it was... They had a broken marriage in the book. So I think she was like trying to like, you know, rekindle. But Pennywise ends up killing them. And it's kind of in the same scene. Well, it is in the same scene. I don't know why I said kind of. It is in the same scene with the death lights or dead lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. And I know that they didn't do it in the movie because the movie would have been too long, which is fair.
3 hours long because it was already 3 hours long.
Right. But like just to have them there and take it out, like I almost feel like maybe we didn't need to know they were married then. Like we could have, you don't need to really explain either way. You could have left it ambiguous.
Right. You could have just had them show up in Derry without all of that exposition.
Right. You could have just shown Beverly getting the phone call, maybe by herself, and then going without mentioning whether or not she had a husband. And then him, he could have been on a movie set and been doing what he was doing, but you didn't have to mention it was his wife that was there. Like, you didn't have to mention it.
Right.
And it would, I feel like it would have made it easier.
It would have streamlined things and made it not a 3-hour movie.
Right. And it would have made it easier for me to not be looking for them the whole movie. Because I was just like, what? And Beverly's husband seemed like the type to follow her. So I just kept waiting for him to show up.
Oh, yeah, he totally was.
So,
which is why he did in the book.
Right.
Apparently.
So I just wanted to mention that because that was something that bothered me a lot during this movie.
The one thing that bothered me more than anything in this movie was we need to split up, which happens in every horror movie ever, and it needs to stop.
I mean, but it needs to happen for the horror movie to exist.
No, I want a horror movie where they do the right thing and it still goes horribly, because that is more realistic and more terrifying. Like
Okay.
if they stay together as a group, but they all wind up dead anyways.
It's just like one big slash through or something.
No, like they get picked off one by one, but they stick together. They immediately try to call the police, even if they can't. Like, just
They don't try to run upstairs.
they don't run into a basement or hide themselves in a locker.
Or put themselves in a closet.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. The horrible things that you just immediately are taken out of a movie and be like, well, that's not how anyone would ever respond to this. That's not a thing.
Right. So, guys, what I'm hearing is Tyler wants to write his own horror movie of a realistic horror movie.
Yeah.
So, tweet at us. Let us know that you want him to do it. Because, he's all about that life. I did want to mention a few of the references that are in the movie because I know a lot of people are super into Easter eggs. These are not all of them. These are just a few that we noticed. There was a reference to The Thing, which is a podcast movie that we have done previously, so I did want to put that out there. It's a John Carpenter movie. I think we did it like a year ago now.
Yeah, it's been a while. It was Kurt Russell. I think we did it last Halloween and last October.
We may have, but there was a spider head of Stanley in the house and Richie says, "You've got to be fucking kidding me," which is the exact line from The Thing.
Yes.
So I thought that was kind of cool. There's 2 references to The Shining. At one point, somebody says, "Here's Johnny," and then at another point, Bev is in a bathroom stall, and he kind of looks through the door with that shining smile. I don't really know how to explain it. If you've seen the movie, you know.
Yes.
Then there's also in the same bathroom stall a reference to Carrie, where blood is pouring in from underneath the door.
Yes, and Carrie is a Stephen King novel, obviously.
There is a reference to Christine. There's a license plate on the wall when Stephen King makes his cameo.
Okay.
And it's Christine's license plate, which is a Stephen King novel about a book, if you don't know. Because you're looking at me like you don't know, so just wanted to put that out there. There's a reference to Dark Tower.
Well, this is apparently in the Dark Tower universe, and it's tied into that story or series.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense why there's a reference. So on the, artifact that Mike had, there is a symbol, which is the Dark Tower symbol on the artifact.
Right.
There's a reference, we're guessing, to The Exorcist with the throwing up the black ink.
In the face where everyone knows the Exorcist scene with all the projectile vomit.
Right. That one's kind of more of a guess. And then finally, there's a reference to the Lone Ranger with the bike that Bill gets at the shop where Stephen King makes his cameo and he says, "Hi ho, Silver."
Yes.
So those are all the ones that I've got. I don't know if you've got more, but those are the ones I've got.
I don't have more.
Okay.
No, you got them all.
I'm glad. No, we're really getting over time, so
yes.
Focus on the things you wanna get out there, and you still have your history to do.
I do. So we can go right into History Minute, I guess.
Tyler's History Minute.
Okay, go for it.
So, because this is a clown movie, I wanted to do the history of clowns.
Okay. Joy, things I've always wanted to learn about.
The Wikipedia is not very expansive.
Really?
No, it's not. It says that there are 3 types of primary clown. Whiteface, August, and character.
Whiteface, huh? Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Questionable terminology.
He's usually the person in charge and giving the instructions and all of that stuff. The August clown is the stereotypical, prototypical pie in face, gets sprayed buffoon. And then the character picks a character, whether it's a butcher, baker,
Candlestick maker?
hobo,
Sorry.
so forth. Yes, candlestick maker. And he basically assists the leading clown in terrorizing the August clown, which stands for Red Clown.
Oh, okay.
They each all have their different makeup and personalities and all of that stuff. Clowns come from earlier in that, where there's court jesters and harlequins and all of that. Harlequins can trace their ancestry back to 1262.
Jeez.
Where they wore red and black masks and were devil-ish demon characters. Meant to be
Harley
impish
Quinn is
and mischievous and all of that.
Yeah, so Harley Quinn's inspiration, clearly.
So that's what I got for the History Minute.
So you did a great job with that. Yeah. Guys, you gotta like push at him for his History Minutes.
I'm gonna make you watch a history movie.
We've watched plenty, and just so you guys know, the month of October we're gonna be doing all Halloween movies. So we started early, I guess, but it'll be all horror from here on out until the end of October.
Yes.
So is there anything else you want to do before we go into reviews? Now, there are a few other, little Easter egg things that we could mention. I did want to, just because I find it funny, Bill Hader says sloppy bitch to Pennywise in the movie, and it's a reference to an interview of Bill Hader on Conan, where Hader revealed that he called his friend that when he beat him at Goldeneye, which I thought was funny. There's a bunch of little things about this movie that we could go on and on for days, so I don't want to do that.
Almost missed out. The actress that plays Eddie's wife.
You are correct. See, that would be unfortunate.
Also plays his mother in
Which
this
is
movie.
perfect.
Super creepy. It is referenced in the book that he thinks he married her because she reminds him of his mother. And so they had the same actress play both parts.
Right. Perfection.
The book, it is not an alien or a being. It's a giant evil spider.
Yes.
And then the actor that played Ben actually started off his acting career as a clown, creepily enough.
Oh, well, that's horrifying and weird full circle for him.
And Bill Skarsgård, the Pennywise, can move his eyes in two different directions.
Oh, I saw a clip of him doing it to
Bill Hader.
Richie. Yeah, Bill Hader. Oh, terrifying. I can't believe he could do that. That's horrifying.
Well, Bill Hader was asking him, how do they do that with the special effects? And he just did it. And nope.
Poor Bill Hader. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
All right, now to ratings.
Reviews.
Yes, move on.
So Rotten Tomatoes has it at 63%.
Wow, I'm surprised by that.
And then audience score of 79. So better,
but still not great.
Not
I'm betting it's a lot of diehard fans that are disappointed by things that were cut,
or they've envisioned it differently, or there's no replacing Tim Curry.
Well, there isn't.
I mean, there's a culmination of a lot of things.
Right.
I would imagine that go into those ratings. I would say that I would give it an 8.
Okay, what's your reason for that?
I mean, it was well acted, so they cast it very well. Bill Hader was spectacular. The special effects, it wasn't overly gory like most horror movies are these days, where it's just like, we get it, horrible things are happening, move on. There's a lot of jump scares that even though you saw coming, they still made you jump and react. So it was well done, and apparently it's fairly faithful to the source material for the most part. Some minor tweaks, artistic license, and so forth. But overall, not a bad movie.
No.
I enjoyed it.
I was going to give it an 8.5. I really loved the movie. But I was just disappointed with some of the things where I was waiting for stuff to happen. That kind of stuck with me throughout the movie. Or just kind of okay, and when is it going to happen? They did mention that Bill McAvoy's character was based off of Stephen King with the whole bad endings thing. And they said that the filmmakers, they think, was making fun of him because they did change the ending of the book for the movie. Yeah. But I still feel like it was kind of a bad ending. To me, it wasn't enough of a resolution. It was kind of all okay, now they get to leave Derry, so yay, congrats. And
go back to their fantastic lives.
Right, but there was no real, to me, resolution. I mean, yeah, I guess he's dead, but they had things in their friend group and whatever, and just kind of
their separate ways and just kind of...
Yeah, it just seemed a little bit okay, that's it, all right. So, I don't know, that just... there was a lot of things for me throughout the movie where it's kind of like, okay, we could bring this back around. But anyways, that's it for this movie. So next week is your choice.
My choice, and I don't remember what it was.
You picked from people recommending to you on Twitter.
Yes, I did. Rosemary's Baby.
Yes. It was recommended by 2 different people, Ryan Terry and It Was Like Magic 1 on Twitter. She also writes a blog under the same name, It Was Like Magic. She's a film reviewer, blogger. So
okay.
Yeah, so I feel like she probably, between her and Ryan Terry, who teaches about films, they must have a great suggestion here, because neither one of us have seen Rosemary's Baby.
No.
And we wanted a classic, so we got one.
Yeah.
And I'm also excited because it's always referenced in Gilmore Girls. Just a little nugget for you guys.
Yeah, because she has a very healthy fandom of Gilmore Girls. It's not an obsession.
Oh, but we have listeners who also love Gilmore Girls. So I wanted to let you all know, if you want to watch this one along with us, it's referenced in Gilmore Girls. It can help get you up on that canon of all of their references.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it. I want to thank Jake at Office Music for our intro and outro music, and let you guys know if you want to talk to us outside of the podcast. You can find me on Twitter at CinematicallyC or Tyler on Twitter at BlameTylerCC. I just reopened our podcast Instagram at CinematicallyCorrect is how you can find us there. And you can email us at cinematicallycorrect@gmail.com. But Twitter is probably your best bet to find us.
Yeah, we're also on Facebook, but we're never actually on Facebook, right. So don't.
We're never really there. Yeah. But Twitter and Instagram is where we're going to be. So anyways, we will be back next week with Rosemary's Baby.